anger management issues. Somebody says, "Hey, Rich, we're glad you're here." So, some good ones, some bad ones this morning. Number for you to send us a text message, 833-804-1140. By the way, let me throw this out. An hour from now, we'll have the 933 experiment. I think more free speech is better than less free speech. I think we, the people, mean that we, the people, should, have to get an opportunity to make our voices heard. And I sincerely believe this since taking this job, that a lot of us have just forgotten that we have a voice and how to use it. So we're trying as much as we can. So one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to take telephone calls during Richmond's Morning News. So we're doing it.
He's ready.
And here's what we're doing is we're telling people, hey, you have a voice, use it, and we'll do this 933 experiment. And today's experiment is going to be, I just want to know a simple question. I actually have you answer a simple question. Why do you love America? All right. With that being said, I do want to run out to the WRVA Newsmaker hotline because we have the pleasure of welcoming in Jim Gilmore, a former governor, former attorney general, and U.S. ambassador. He joins us on Thursdays here on News Radio WRVA. Good morning, sir. I think I can hear him in one ear. Sir, are you there?
I'm still here. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
I got you, sir. Good morning.
Sure. Good morning to you.
Let me just begin by telling you happy 4th of July.
Well, happy 4th of July to you. It's a shame here on the 250th anniversary of the United States that the Constitution is under assault here in Virginia with these gun laws, but I know you want to talk about that.
I do. And you're going to be over at Monticello for a naturalization ceremony. I think that's beautiful. I'm going to be up at the Washington Monument. I can't wait for that. But let's talk about the Constitution and our Second Amendment rights, which are under attack right now, in my opinion. And more than anything else, this confusion is absolutely aggravating, and I think it chips away at our Bill of Rights. So I wanted to get your thoughts. Now we see the gun laws passed, some pulled back because they were so poorly written and ambiguous they can't figure out how to enforce them. Others, judges have blocked. The DOJ says this is an infringement on my Second Amendment. Our Attorney General says, no, I'm going to defend these laws, even if judges have said they're all going to get struck down. What are Jim Gilmore's thoughts?
Well, look, Rich, your listeners know from listening to me over years that I'm a gun rights advocate. I was on the board of the National Rifle Association for over 10 years. And there's a fundamental belief in my part, and I think should be on all people's parts, about the responsibility of citizenship. When the founders put the Second Amendment in place, which was the right to keep and bear arms, it wasn't just a whim, and it wasn't just a hobby, and it wasn't just for hunting. It was about the trust and empowerment of citizens, the sense that the government can count on citizens to obey the law and be responsible people, and it's empowerment of people. That's my view, and has always been my view. There's been a long-standing strata of people, many of whom are listening to me right now, who believe, no, the problem is that there are too many guns around, and they're irresponsible people are running around with them, or everybody's running around with them, and we just shouldn't allow that. Well, the Constitution says otherwise, and it's not just an accident that it's there. It's about trust in people. It's about confidence in people, and that spills over into everything else. We are a free nation of free people, and we have plenty of laws on the books to challenge people who misuse firearms. So the notion here, I think, is if you eliminate all firearms or the use of firearms, that crime will get better. I don't think there's any evidence to support that. Instead, what we have to do is put responsibility on people. So I'll stop by just saying that I get tired of people saying, well, it's all about gun violence or a gun crime. There is no gun violence. There is no gun crime. There are people who misuse firearms, and they are subject to the criminal penalties of the codes of the United States and of Virginia. And that's the way we ought to keep it in order to take away the instrumentality, whether it's guns, so-called assault weapons, baseball bats, or knives. We have to impress upon citizens that they have a responsibility to behave correctly.
So we're talking about Jim Gilmore right now about these confusing gun laws that are going on here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So if you wouldn't mind maybe putting on your Attorney General's hat for just a moment, some of these laws are very complicated. Some they've actually pulled back like, oh, okay, we'll wait till next year because we didn't get the wording quite right. Some have already been injunctions have been issued by judges. The DOJ is looking at them. What is going on with the way these laws were written, where we're already seeing so many legal challenges and judges actually having injunctions against these laws that seem so confusing?
Yeah, my hope is that the courts will uphold the Constitution and will say that these things are not proper. What's going on right now is there are a lot of laws that are being put on the books here in Virginia that burden the right to keep and bear arms. Various and sundry things which on their surface, they look very good, but they're a burden. The goal here is to make it harder and harder and harder to not only acquire a firearm, but to keep one and legitimately. So these burdens are just going on right now, all the laws that are being written. Look, you either have a responsible citizen or you don't. And if you have people that are downtown shooting people, it's usually not with AR-47s or whatever they are.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
They're not with that.
Well, here's the thing, though. Listen, if you want to come take our guns, then just say so. But some of these laws are chipping away. And that's where I used to tell my son all the time, you know what? It's one thing to lie to me. It's another to have a lie of omission, because then you're treating me like I'm a fool. One, you're trying to fool me. The other, you're treating me like a fool. And I'm more offended by the lie of omission. So we have one gun law that they passed that said manufacturers will be responsible for people that buy their firearms, and then if somehow it goes down the line, someone uses it in a crime or something happens, you, the manufacturer who sold it, the gun store that sold it legally, will be responsible for the actions of someone who did something somewhere down the line. Okay, maybe that sounds fine, but you know what you're saying is you're putting a chill, and now you're putting a liability on these people. We don't tell people that a bar, hey, listen, or a restaurant, you can't do this. We don't do that with anything else.
Well, look, the objective here is to eliminate firearms in the community. That's the objective. If you put liability on gun manufacturers, they can't possibly manufacture. Because they then at that point, for their legal efforts, to put together a firearm and put it into the system legally,
right?
They're subject to the improper behavior of somebody they don't even know. So they can't possibly manufacture or sell firearms under those conditions. The people know this. I'm going to make this in your list. There's a larger sense. It's really not just about firearms here. It's really about the philosophy of the political parties towards people's citizens' rights under the Constitution. That more than rights under the Constitution, it's the trust in people to behave correctly and to own a firearm, which our founders thought was a proper thing to do based on their experience of fighting against the British tyranny. They understood the importance of that kind of thing. I'll just give you one more example. We have this Iran war that just got started. I have a lot of problems with the way it's been conducted and the way that it should never have started. But one premise was that the Americans and the Israelis thought that if they just killed off the top 30 people in Iran, that the people would rise up against the government and they would overthrow the government. Now, I'm in favor of a new regime in Iran, but it is not possible when the citizens are not armed. It's not possible. So we don't have that problem in the United States. We have the Second Amendment, which means that in the end, people can't be picked up and enslaved in this country at this point in time because the population is armed and they understand their rights. Now, this is not to say that we're on the cusp of an armed rebellion or anything like that. It's more the question of whether we trust people to be responsible people. And these laws right now, in my view, are unconstitutional. I hope that the courts will uphold the Constitution. This is not an assault on guns. This is an assault on the Bill of Rights.
I'm going to share this with you real quick. I think I have time, Super Dave. So I met this gentleman from Afghanistan, and he was a tailor in San Diego. And we're talking, I asked him about his country, and he said, and he started going off on how much he hated his country, how awful it was. I said, okay. And I sat down, my son and I actually sat down and had lunch with him, and he explained what was wrong with this country, what happened. And he said, after the fight with the Soviets, there were warlords and everybody had guns and they're all shooting at each other. And he said one group came and he said, listen, we've got to stop shooting at each other. Let's all surrender our guns. Let's all give our guns back, and that way we'll have no more violence. So they started taking the guns from this warlord and that warlord, and they all go, you know what, let's stop the fighting. And they gave up their guns and gave them to the one group. And then all of a sudden, the group that organized that was the only one with guns, and they took over the country. Do you know the name of that group, sir?
Probably the Taliban.
Exactly. And that's what he said happened, is all the different warlords surrendered their guns in the name of peace. And then by the time they didn't have any more arms, and the only people that had guns with the Taliban, they took over and forced their beliefs on everybody else. That was chilling for me to hear what happened to him and his country. And that's why I'm such a Second Amendment advocate. Okay, we got more than we want to talk about because, boy, things for Vladimir Putin are not looking good right now. Fights in the streets over gasoline. We're going to talk about that with the governor coming up here, ambassador as well, in just a few moments. So, sir, we'll talk to you after the top of the hour. Thank you so much. Today's program is brought to you in part by Green Top Sporting Goods. Okay, I know it's confusing right now with all of these guns.